Hello, this is a video about double transformations again, and actually a video about a discussion going on the forum of the Foundry, in which Clef told me that in my previous videos, when I would want to parent my top transform locator, which actually moves the top vertices of this sphere geometry, to the transform effector for all, which takes care of the translation and rotation for the complete geometry, that I would need a normalization folder. Now I'm going to first select everything, reset it, and going to first show you another scene that I created in order to illustrate some points. So here I have a scene which is a bit more complicated than my sphere scene, simple geometry, and a skeleton setup. And this setup has been rigged actually in the schematic view, so I did not do a bind operation. In the commands tab, deformers tab, you have the bind operation to bind a skeleton to the mesh. Actually, I did not do that. I parented everything up in the schematic view. So I have a root joint, an up joint, a mid joint, and the low joint. I've created general influences for these joints and weight containers. And when I go to the vertex map view, you can see the influences of those weight containers, like that. And in the deformers tab, I have created a normalizing folder and assigned these influences to it, making sure that if there were weighting that is more than 100%, that it gets normalized to 100% and that there is no double transform. So I'm going back to my shaded view. When I rotate stuff over here, everything works fine as you'd expect. Okay, now I'm going to another scene, a similar scene, and in this scene I actually have the same setup, with the difference being that I have no normalizing folder. And, surprise, when I rotate everything still works fine. Now, although I have no normalizing folder here, I did find out that it is because of the weighting that everything still works fine. You see, when I go to my vertex map view, when I select my root weight container, it's only these vertices that have been assigned to that root container. My up container only contain these vertices, and so on. For my mid, only these vertices. For my low, only these vertices. So there is no vertex weighting overlapping. There is no how put this. So for instance, when I select this vertex, these vertices have only been assigned to the root container. These vertices, and I'm going to edge mode, these vertices have only been assigned to the up weight container, and so on. So there is no possibility of weighting going over 100%, and in that case it's kind of evident that I do not need a normalizing folder. To illustrate things further, I have yet another similar setup where I do have overlapping weights. So when I select this one, or the root, and I go to my vertex map view, you see now there is vertex overlapping as far as the weighting is concerned. So when I select my mesh, go to edge mode, select these vertices, these have been assigned to my weight root, but I'm going to control and lasso select that one and select this one, and this one have also been assigned to my weight container up, and so on. So when I select my weight containers, you can see now multiple vertices have been assigned to multiple weight containers, and as you'd expect in this case, without a normalizing folder, as you can see, then when I rotate it around, you see now there is a double influence. And so this is what Clef actually is trying to say on the forum, that when I want to parent my transform effectors, and these actually are transform effectors, they are a skeleton, but what's in the name? They are locators with general influences and weight containers, so they are a skeleton that has been manually rigged. And since the weighting is overlapping, is being shared by multiple weight containers without the normalization folder, now I have a double influence. So I'm going to reset everything to its original state. Now going to my setup mode and going to select these general influences, right click and say normalize. Going out of setup mode. So in this scene now everything should work fine, and no, it doesn't. So probably because I'm going to stop for a moment. Sorry for that, I'm back. Actually everything works fine. Now that I've assigned a normalizing folder in setup mode, everything works fine. So there are overlapping weights, and in that case the influences should be placed in a normalizing folder. Having illustrated all of that, my surprise is this, or was this. So Cliff told me in the forum that if I want to actually parent my top transform effector to my all transform effector, that I would need a normalizing folder, since there are, as far as the weighting is concerned, overlapping weights. So I'm going to show these weights. If you haven't seen the other videos, I'm going to vertex map. So for the all general influence, it influences all with 100%, and for the top general influence, it influences the top vertices with a fading influence. So 100% on top, and I believe 30% on the bottom. So there is overlapping in this setup. So in order to make this work, when I parent my top to all, I should need a normalizing folder. And I'm going back to my shaded view, deselect everything first, like that. Going to my setup mode, setup, select my top effector, then select my all effector, and I'm going to say parent in place. Going out of setup mode, going to move the top transform effector up, going to select my all now. So you can see in the item list my top has been parented to my all transform effector. Move that around, and you see indeed there is a problem. So first of all, I'm going to check the order. So my top in the order stack, in the deformers stack, is evaluated first. This is okay. And as far as deformation mode is concerned, this should be set to local, since now the top effector is a child of the parent. It can no longer use the world coordinate system, it should use its local coordinate system. And you see everything has popped back into place. So when I choose my all transform effector and rotate this, everything works. And this is surprising to me, and this is actually what this video is about. As I've shown earlier, when the weighting for the several weight maps or weight containers is being shared, or I should put it differently, when vertices have been assigned to multiple weight maps or weight containers, then, as I've shown in the previous scenes, I should need a normalizing folder that makes sure that no weighting goes on beyond 100%, so that everything evaluates to 100% as far as the weighting is concerned. But in this scene, although I have parented my top effector to my all effector, I do not need a normalizing folder. And the only thing I can come up with that this is because this is a simple scene with only two transform effectors, whereas in the other scenes, like this one, I have multiple transform effectors. Skeleton is actually a bunch of transform effectors, and as shown, when there is no overlapping weight, then I do not need a normalizing folder, and when there is overlapping weight, like in this scene, Vertex map mode, then I do need a normalizing folder. So I hope Cliff can tell me, or someone else can tell me, that why in this scene, Shift A and shaded mode, I do not need a normalizing folder, because actually this does not make sense that in this simple to me, that in this simple scene I do not need a normalizing folder. So thanks for watching, hope it is helpful. Bye for now.